Bye-bye.
Hi there. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited for our conversation with Todd Litzman from Brandwise. There's so much that most of you probably don't realize how much you've actually been somehow, some way using Brandwise, either directly or indirectly for a long time on your buying side of things. So maybe this conversation will open your eyes up to some of that backroom knowledge, as well as some awesome new things that are coming your way that you're going to be able to have your hands on more. And next week, I've been watching a lot of things on all of your social media and noticed that some people are still asking for a lot of questions and a lot of help on how to do Facebook Lives. So we decided that next week, rather than having another guest on, we're going to go ahead and do just a very basic how to run your very first Facebook Live and keep it low stress and low key and just get that first one done and out of the way. So tune in next week and we'll have that conversation. Until then, let's have our chat with Todd. Hey
Great.
there, Todd.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you and your team have been crazy at work nonstop, and we're also thankful for that on our end of things. So, little background, our company launched and sales launched 10 years ago, and we have been partnered with Brandwise from the beginning. I will be honest with you, we did our due diligence as any good business owner and business manager should. We have talked to the gamut of all of the software companies that are integrated in our industry, and even looked into developing some of our own at some point. And it's really complicated,
Yeah.
overwhelmingly complicated. We rep groups are a crazy world that we represent anywhere from maybe 10 to 100 different brands, and all of them have their own rules, and things are changing all the time, and somehow we need to keep everything straight, all the rules straight, and so that we as reps can partner best and consult best with the retailers while also doing right by the brands, so that they can provide the best product for our retailers. And that's a really complicated thing when you come to creating software. So first of all, thank you for being the man to do that for all of us. Also, Brandwise is a lifesaver for us when we come back into our back office. I know that I'm the face of our social media and everything, but I also do all of our back end administrative. And so I'm the one in charge of paying all of our reps every month on time, which is crazy stressful.
Yeah.
But it's so much less stressful with the system that you've created. And I mean, I cannot imagine paying commissions without Brandwise.
That's good.
So I think that every group that uses your system is like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I know you guys have been working with working on a ton of new things that we are going to introduce for the first time. Really introduce you guys to the retailers. So I can't wait to chat about that. But first, I'd really like to know some of your history. How long has Brandwise been around? What made you, in your crazy mind, decide to take on this massive challenge to create Brandwise in our industry?
Yeah. So great question. So we've been around for 23 years. And we started out as a company called Showroom Solutions. And the impetus was my wife, Janetta, who's our CFO now, and my business partner, and the other one running around the house, started a accessory business to the wholesale trade in Colorado back in the late 1990s, like 1997, and quickly realized that buying product in the industry on the home side actually was very complicated. It was all handwritten, it was difficult, and we sort of started kind of looking at the home industry, but then had a rep agency that used to be around in Kansas City on the gift side, listening to somebody talk about, one of our old sales guys talk about what we did, and that sort of got us into the gift side, which was where all the SKUs were and all the complication and a lot of those types of things. So that sort of was the emphasis, was the company that Janetta had my background in tech and a little bit of her background was like, she basically came home and said, let's do this. It'll be easy. And here we are 23 years later, and there's nothing easy about it.
I was just going to say, it's so easy, right?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because Showroom Solutions, we derived the name because our first introduction to the industry was showrooms. So we kind of thought, well, that's what it is. It was High Point. It was Atlanta showrooms.
Right.
And then once we named the company, soon realized, well, you know what? A lot of the business is written on the road, but we sort of got stuck with that until 2005. Then we merged with another company called Brandwise, which Janetta and I and the rest of our management team took over the operations of both companies. And we're able to meld some nice tools together, more analytics from the Brandwise side and things like that. But the name was more generic and made more sense than the Showroom Solutions name. So while people that have been with us for a long time still call us SSI, which was Showroom Solutions Inc., the Brandwise was the new name going forward. But we have a lot of customers that are still using our stuff that were with us from day one. So we've got some, 10 years for you guys. Thanks very much. And Dennis, even longer from the DNA side. And, of course, some of the other groups that we've had since the beginning. So it's been a fun run.
Yeah, and I know our company is 10 years old, but we've actually been in the industry my whole life. And I do remember a lot of handwritten orders. And unless a large brand created their own system, which we also worked with some companies that had that, and handwriting orders is no fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and not to mention the keeping track of everything. So, so you guys have been around in the industry for a long time. And at some point, you also then created Reach to be an online platform for us on the middle ground.
Yeah, it's been interesting as we've migrated into different applications. You mentioned the back office, the commission piece that you use. That was something that came right away, right? When we understood the multi-line agency, which to your point is very complicated because you have the different business rules, the different payouts, all these things managed by suppliers and handled by the agencies. But Reach came out of actually way before its time. Reach, prior to being Reach, was a product called BW Connect, which possibly some of the people on the call remember way back when. But it was really early on in the stages of the internet where people weren't sure, is the web going to stick around? Do we need this kind of stuff? And at the time, it was a site that was released that made sure that the rep stayed in the transaction so that you could work with your retailers remotely and those orders came through to the rep. So it was very transparent. But we were relying on the industry to realize that there was a benefit to that and that it wasn't going to take the rep out of the picture and it was the right platform. And it was just years before its time. So that turned into Reach, which Reach became individual agency websites that did the same thing, agency and supplier side. But on the multi-line agency, it ensured that if you took an order from an iPad or you took it on a laptop, that you could send that off to your retailer via Reach and collaborate with them remotely, which now today is more important than it's ever been.
Right.
But it was always something that was relatively important for our customer base. So to your point that we did it for you guys, that transparency in the industries we're in was critical. That if a retailer was placing an order online and they had a relationship with a rep, they knew the rep was getting the order and could work with them on it and didn't have to rely on it coming through a different method, or that they didn't feel like they were going around the sales rep. So that was a big part of what Reach was then and a huge part of where Reach is headed now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're a multi-line rep group, so we clearly believe in the importance of reps. But I mean, I talk to so many retailers, thousands of retailers across the country, and I've worked with several internationally too. And it's really very clear the importance of reps and knowing the stores, knowing the territory, knowing the products, what their best sellers are, being able to track inventory from the brands, all of those things. And, just like all the retailers, always, but I think it's been promoted and supported now more than ever, the shop local, shop small, all of those. This is I'm going to get on a soapbox and preach moment. Shop local, shop small with your rep. We are also, local small businesses and many of our brands are amazing, and trust me, we all work together, all of those things, to make sure that the territory rep does get paid out appropriately, but we truly are here to serve you and, partner with you and all of that. And so it really helps if you keep that in mind to shop small and shop local through your rep. And Brandwise has made that easier than ever with having these tools that you can now at any time jump online and go to, your rep group's website and go in and, click on the brand that you want to write and multiple brands. You can write multiple brands at the same time, just as if you're working with a rep in front of you.
Right.
And then that order gets bounced back to your rep for your rep to review. So you're still working in partnership with them, although it's just electronic.
Well, the other interesting piece of that, where you talk about the rep. I mean, it's not just that your reps pay your rep commission, even though that's critically important. But what we see looking at the data over the 23 years we've been doing this, every single order comes through our system, so we can look at the analytics of it, and we see against different. There's a lot of disruption in the industry right now. Everybody's throwing websites up. For retailers, it becomes very complicated. Where do I start? What do I buy? Is it in stock? Is it a real site? Is it not? How much does it cost? Does it keep the rep involved? But we see historically that orders with reps are the reorders that happen online with sales reps online are significantly higher, which means that the rep is adding value to that retailer where they're coming back and reordering over and over again versus orders taken sort of randomly where they're kind of more one and done. And there's a whole bunch of analytics that point to the fact that the reps have significant value to retailers. There's a comfort level. They can dig into more information. You guys have open lines to the supplier contacts. So we think it's a big deal, not just to make sure that you guys are taken care of, which is our primary, but also that the retailers understand they get a better experience when they work with a rep, whether it's virtually or it's what we would call hybrid, right? Because it's going to continue to be talking to somebody on the phone, doing what we're doing now on a Skype call or a GoToMeeting call or a Zoom call or the million of other things, and the website stuff.
Right.
So it's very important that it's integrated.
Yeah. And of course, the in-person is still, all of us have our iPads and our computers ready to go for all of those in-person ordering meetings too, which I know all of the reps love the in-person, so those are not going away. We're just creating it all. We're doing it all. And now you guys have been working tirelessly on this new edition, Brandwise 2.0, which is now introducing what you are calling Passport. Can you talk a little bit about Passport?
Right. Yeah. So the pros and cons of being around for a long time are that you have to continually develop new technologies and new software and adapt to new infrastructures and all this type of stuff. Well, over the years, what we've seen, and you see it in your agencies and the retailers on the call see it when they walk in to meet with a rep, is duplication of retailer information. So it's entered maybe 2 or 3 times in this agency, and then their order history gets a little jumbled if they're going to Reach or something else or whatever. Not to mention the fact that credit cards, which is a primary method for payment, particularly in the gift industry, is a bit of a nightmare with compromise. There's not anybody that's listening in on this that hasn't had their cards compromised. So even though we can tokenize that through a lot of the agencies now, they still are bringing a card in and they're handing it to you and they're handing it to this person, they're handing it to that person. Right. So what the idea of the Passport was a complete redesign of the infrastructure or the engine behind Brandwise, where as a rep, you guys saw as your agency, the first people that we connected were the agency to the supplier in Passport, so that product files could be more seamlessly delivered. And then now with the retailer login, so the Passport that we introduced, I think it's probably been about 4 weeks since we introduced it. We had a few, as normal, little hurdles to get over in the first week or so, but that smoothed out really considerably. We've had almost, I think as of the beginning of, or the end of last week, we had over 2,000 brand new retailer registrations on Passport, on top of the 50,000 that we migrated. So that's a very positive aspect to that. But the end game for the retailer is they control their profile. So the retailer puts in their information. They can now modify and add shipping addresses within Reach through their Passport. The billing address information, or their main address editor, is coming out in the next week or so they'll be able to go in and clean that up, because a lot of that was entered by a sales rep in a hurry. Maybe there's a period in the wrong place or it's not correct. They'll be able to update that. Then we'll continue to add more value to them in They'll be able to see all of the order history for all their agencies like they can currently in Reach. The Passport, that the next version that will release next to the agency in their Passport dashboard in their business connections, will have a Shop Now button by it. So if they want to go to your site, they click that. They can click on the other one, so it makes it easy for them to get there. But then they'll also be able to store their business information in the Passport. So they'll be able to put a credit card in and have it tokenized, so the credit card data is not really there. But then instead of you guys asking for it, we'll pull that information in so they can leave their credit cards at home. They'll be able to put their credit information. Anything that you need or the supplier needs to sign them up will be stuff that over time will get added into the Passport. So they'll really use that as their business engine to work with all of their sales reps, manage their information, determine who their buyers are. If a buyer goes away, they can add a new one or remove them, all that type of stuff. So they really become in control of something that's been very fragmented. Now they'll be able to do it on their own.
Right. So you're creating, I mean, essentially you're creating a buyer's wallet of all the things that are so frustrating in any realm, whether you're doing an in-person buying meeting, going to a showroom, or doing these virtual. I mean, not everybody knows off the top of their head their tax ID number, or, has a credit sheet, in their back pocket.
Right.
And as you said, the credit card information, I mean, anymore, it gets pulled left and right and everything. And so this is a way that if your credit card is getting passed around less, it's, you guys have control of it. Nobody can see any of the actual numbers through the system, and the brands, run that charge when the shipment goes out or whatnot. So it's once all of that is integrated and will be integrated, you'll be able to just be like, okay, let me just focus on the product. Let me focus on buying and, think about what story I want to tell with the product in my store, and all of the business administrative side of it is already handled.
Exactly. And then even to the extent that you're a new customer, so if it was a new customer to AN Sales, what they would do now is come in and talk to the rep, and they key the information in. Well, now they give the email address. When this gets fully rolled out, which will be yet this year, that information will just pull down to their device. So instead of a rep having to key it in again and risk duplicating it and take the time, it'll pull in the information the retailer's already put in. So it'll be their bill to, their ship tos, their credit information, their credit cards, all that type of stuff, or the representation of their credit cards. So it'll streamline that process pretty significantly as well.
And Brandwise is, just for our retailers to hear this, Brandwise is so commonly used in the industry from, rep groups and brands. And I'm sure that many of you have had the situation at a show, for example, that you go into a new showroom or something and you're not in their system. And so it takes some time to let me input all that information, and, everybody's doing as fast as they can so that, we're not wasting your time and whatnot. But Brandwise is used, across so many of those showrooms. They're really having the ability to have you take that time once, even before the show, and that way it'll be, streamed across all the groups and showrooms and whatnot that utilize Brandwise.
Right.
So really just, again, making it as brainless as possible for you, so that you can focus on your core, which is shopping the product and making your stores look beautiful and have, the inventory.
Right. And even with the Passport, what it's done for the existing Reach, and we'll talk a little bit about what's coming in the new Reach products. But even with just the existing, the ability now, once you've registered with the Passport and you go to another agency and you click on Shop Now or Order Now and it's Brandwise, it simply pops up for you to log in. You recognize the login. And then if you've never shopped them, simply gives you a request to shop page. And then it's very quick on the agency side for it to be approved and mapped. And then you're shopping all of these sites, which we have 180 agencies that use our tech. So that's not the suppliers, just the agency. So there's a lot of potential that you're going to, as a retailer, you're going to go and hit one of the sites that's a Brandwise site.
Right. And so I just want to stop on that really quick, because I do think that is something that that needs to be kind of pressed a little bit, because that's something that I think we get a lot of confusion on. So once you have ordered on any rep site that uses Brandwise, and now you guys have made it noted on our sites, on our ordering pages, that this ordering site is run by Brandwise. So once you've created that login information once, you can then go to a different rep group site, which is also run by Brandwise, and use that same exact login information. So you're not creating separate login and passwords and everything for every rep group's login that you're using. You are using the same one over and over again. And then it's our responsibility. We get a ding, you have a new customer that wants to jump on your website, and I jump on and log in and say, oh, I like you. Yes, I will let you look at our website. And then you have free reign to our website. But that is something that I think some people think, oh, it's a new website. I just came off of Gib Carson's website, and now I'm working on Ann Sales' website. I need a new login information.
Right.
You don't. Gib Carson uses Brandwise, and so do we, and you can utilize, the same exact information, so it's nice and quick and easy.
And then we've taken that further with the passport to make it easier, even again with this release that we're just wrapping up now. So we try to release software about every three weeks. So you guys have always seen this. The retailers, you'll see that in new advancements into your passport or new features that come out, things like that. And we'll figure out methods to alert the retailers or give you guys information about what's new, which we have built into the rep side, but we've got to build that into the retailer side. But also making it easy that if you click the passport button, which is where you created your passport, you see all the agencies that you're connected to when you tap on your retailer. So it would show Ann Sales and Gib Carson and whoever else. And again, what I mentioned, there'll be a URL that says shop. And if you just click that, it would take them to the Ann Sales site, or it would take you to the Gib Carson site. So it makes it really easy for the retailer to identify, okay, these are the sites I'm connected to. But I may shop 10 other sites. As soon as you go to that site, log in, and request to shop, as soon as you go and click that I like you and approve button, it shows up in that list with that shop link as well. So it makes it really easy for them to manage where they've been and where they want to go next and things like that, without necessarily having to remember all the websites. It'll take them directly to your site.
Yeah, because it can be a lot to remember.
Yeah. So that's coming soon. Development's done. We're just getting the testing done.
Awesome.
So that'll be one of the new features.
Awesome. We're excited for all of the new things that are down the pipeline in the near future. And I did want to quickly get your thoughts on, as we're seeing all of this virtual activity, and there are a few shows coming up, and but many are doing virtual shows and all of those. We're preparing our own virtual show and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that? What are you've been integrated in this industry for a long time. You've been part of the GHGA. I believe you were president of the GHGA at one point.
I was, yeah.
So the GHGA, for those of you that don't know, is an industry group that meets once a year and shares ideas and collaborations and all of those things. So what are your thoughts on this whole changing world that we have and going more virtual and all of that?
Yeah, I think the good news for us was when this pandemic hit and we started to see what was happening and we looked at our roadmap for development, it was in line with what we were already doing. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was, okay, we just need to get this done faster than what we would have potentially have done before. But I think that what this will turn into, that we're seeing in everything, is going to be more hybrid.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be, and what we've been able to take advantage of, you look for silver linings and things, right? So the silver lining for us was our communication with our customers. We've never communicated ever in the years that we've been in business to the extent that we've been able to communicate during this pandemic, because for a matter of months, nobody could really do much. So we did webinars 2 a week, if you recall, which was a lot, to help you guys understand things that maybe weren't using in the system, how you can better help your retailers, how you can leverage reach, all of these different types of things, so that when you are now hitting the ground running, we feel like the 4,500 reps that we have are much better equipped to work remotely and to get on webinars and to use reach and to leverage the virtual stuff. But I think it's really the key for the reps is understanding the hybrid nature of it, because your retailers need you. They need the direction that you can provide, and understanding that you don't have to be sitting with them face to face is critical. So I think from our perspective, whether you're at a market, whether you're on the road or you're on the web, it really doesn't matter to Brandwise. We have tools that support it all. It doesn't necessarily matter where you're physically located. So, obviously people and states and governments are all over the place about what they're doing with crowds and gatherings and the comfort level of people to do different things. From our perspective, we kind of look at it as it doesn't really matter. We give you guys the tools to work in whatever environment you're in and provide the retailer with the benefits that they need. And some of the things that were asked for early on to help the retailers were more assets, being able to download images, which they can do from Reach now, for you guys to be able to send them reports with downloadable image assets that the retailers can put up on their social media or their websites. And that will continue to advance as our transit product, which the retailers don't really know about, but that's more of our, if you've ever heard of the Salsifys of the world, places where you can go gather lots of data from a supplier, that's what that will turn into. So retailers will be able to go download as much as they need to be able to populate their websites quicker and be able to get that information out to their consumers.
Yeah, and we've been getting more and more requests from our retailers, which I'm happy about, that they understand that they can come to us for this. As people are working on their websites, either building a new website or launching their first ordering aspect of their website, or even doing sales through social media, the retailers are starting to understand that they can come to us for high resolution images, and we have the ability now to provide that pretty quickly and easily. So,
right.
That's a great thing to note too, that, hey, all of you that are sitting behind your computers and, crunching out as much as you can, we are here to support you in that way too, and to get you guys all of the images that we can, because taking pictures of every item, it can be maddening.
It can be. And now with Reach, if you go into your order history as a retailer, we've added a download image link on the order history. So if you go into your account and order history as a retailer, next to every SKU, as long as there's an image there, you can click on that download image and it will download a high-res image for you as well. So they've got tools at their fingertips as well as the reps that can provide in bulk through the reporting piece. Yep.
It's awesome. We're so excited. Well, all right. So thank you so much for telling us and informing our retailers that of this, like, behind the scenes. I feel like we're opening the curtain saying, hey guys, here's been our secret weapon this whole time. But it's, now it's a secret weapon that we're also welcoming, all of the retailers in on. And our goal, as always, is really just to make the retailers' lives a little bit easier every step of the way. And especially now when, everything is so fluid and we're all trying to, I keep on saying, I often like to say the phrase from Finding Nemo, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. But now my new phrase has been just keep pivoting, because everybody is, that's what we're all doing, and trying to help each other out. So thank you so much for all that you and your team have been doing. I know you guys have been working crazy hours, and yes, you have been doing all of the webinars and websites, or webinars and whatnot. Our team has been on several of them.
Right.
I feel like I've been scraping to keep up with all of them as I, am juggling life. But they've been so helpful, and helpful to get our reps to be able to help the retailers more. For the retailers out there watching this, please don't hesitate to ask if you have questions. If you're ever having a hard time jumping on our site, I know that for us, if you go on ansales.com, in our sidebar of options, there is an order online option for you. So it's pretty simple, and that will lead you into our Brandwise ordering website. Most rep groups that we know and are friends with have the same, obviously their websites look slightly different, but they all have the ability as well to do the order now and, stream you into Brandwise. And from there, you can check out catalogs, images, pricing. We're everybody is doing our best to keep it up to date as much as possible. And we all have most of our vendors have been coming out with new product right now. So now is a great time to jump on board and check out all the new products that are available right now as we're going into the holiday season and all of that. So, and if you are having any troubles, obviously you can contact us and our reps, but you can also contact Brandwise directly.
Right. Yep.
Can you tell them what are the best ways for them to contact Brandwise directly?
Yep. So there's two methods, and we're going to add a few more that make it easier within your passport profile. But right now, when you go to create a passport, if you haven't done that, it'll take you through a wizard to see if your company already exists and a number of different things. But at the end of that, if you just think that you have an account, can't figure it out, we have a form right in the passport to submit a ticket to Brandwise to our support techs, and they'll reach out via email. I've actually taken a number of them, so it's been kind of fun to talk to the retailers, just to make sure that we can walk you through how to get that done. But the best way to communicate with us is just email support@brandwise.com. So if you send that, and we'll put a ticket in, you'll get an instant response from our supporting system, and then we've got people that will return typically via email, but if we need to get on a phone call with you for some reason, we'll do that, and we'll see what makes sense for you guys hours-wise. Because obviously, if you're open, you've got consumers in your retail space. We don't want to tie your time up. And we had quite a bit of that at the beginning. Now we don't get too much of it, but we're here to help. Now that we're out front, if you will, you open the curtain and there's Brandwise. It's our responsibility to make sure that the retailers have a great experience as well. So we're helping wherever we can on that front.
Yeah. And yes, we'll all walk you through it. It's not, and don't get overwhelmed if you haven't created a passport yet. If you were using any of our ordering sites, Brandwise has already done the work for you and flipped you into passport. If you are new to ordering, it's again on all of our websites. When you go to order, it will help prompt you through and walk you through that. So it's a pretty, simple process, just as if you were going to log in and register for any typical, website or buying site or anything. So.
Right.
So with that, I now get to throw you our 3 questions that I have been asking everybody at the end of our show. First one is, what is your favorite book, podcast, or blog?
So it's not going to be something that anybody's going to think is a good thing, but my reading took place on airplanes because I travel all the time. Now, I haven't traveled since March? Yeah. So I haven't read any books since then, but I like to unplug when I read books, and my favorite books are actually the Harry Potter series.
Oh, yes. So
nothing to do with business or anything else.
That's okay. Those are fantastic books, though, and they get your imagination soaring. So
yeah, helps me unplug.
That's awesome. How many times have you read them?
I've read them once. I read a lot of books on those type of things when I'm traveling.
Okay.
But I've read them once. I've watched the movies like 9 million times, but I've only read the books once.
Okay, because I do know some people that have read the entire series
over and over.
So.
Yeah.
What is the most important thing in your toolbox?
It's interesting. At the very beginning of the session, you had mentioned thanks to me for what we've done. It's nothing about me. So my toolbox is representative of the 40 people that work at Brandwise. Without them, we have nothing. They're the ones that take care of you guys. They take care of the retailers. They build the product. They support the product. While I'm involved in all of that from a day-to-day basis, there's nothing that Jeanette and I can do without them. So if you open our toolbox, it's a whole bunch of people that help support it.
And that's true. I've had the pleasure of meeting several of them, and I talk to several of them often. I bug them. They're very calm with me, even when I am not calm. And they have been fantastic to work with all along our ride. So you certainly have built a great team, and we give our applause to the whole 40, all 40.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you briefly did touch on, some looking for the silver lining, but what is something positive that you have seen or feel has come out of the entire pandemic situation?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, you definitely learn about people in a crisis, whether it's this or it's a crash of the markets or whatever it is. You get a feel for people that a little behind the scenes, behind their public facade. But I think for us, again, the silver lining that we mentioned with regards to being able to communicate more with you guys and work on that type of stuff is also just understanding how our business can operate. Again, outside the norm, where you talked about modifying or shifting, or what's the new normal or abnormal, is a webinar I saw yesterday with somebody from the industry. But it's really, for us as a business, proven that we can operate in a completely different way. Mm-hmm. So we're remote now, right? I'm working in my dining room. We have all of our staff working from their houses. Something that prior to this pandemic, if we had this same session and you said, do you think you could work remote? I'd be like, no way on earth we could work remote.
Right.
Now, it's very effective, almost significantly more effective than being back. But I think that we adapt, right? We being the collective we, entrepreneurs, which is pretty much everybody that's on this call or that we work with, figure out how to adapt.
Yeah.
That's all that you can do. So I think there's always a silver lining to the ways that people adapt to it and figure out how to work in a different manner, figure out how to take advantage of what they have and look at the positive versus the negative sides of things. So for me, it's really just been how we can work. The communication, like we mentioned, I think the biggest silver lining has just been our ability to communicate with our customers.
Yeah, well, that's a great silver lining, because there has certainly been more communication on all fronts, which I know we don't have the face-to-face, lovey-dovey, all of that right now, but personally, I would take a video chat over a phone call. Maybe it's just that I've gotten used to it.
It's interesting. All of our sales calls, almost all, I would say 90% of sales calls that are people we don't know, are video conferencing, which adds a whole different layer to communication. Like you say, you can see, are you watching, are you engaged, does it make sense, versus just trying to listen on the phone. That's another really interesting, if you will, silver lining, the comfort level people have now to get on video chat. I think it makes it way better.
Body language tells a lot about a situation, about a person. I feel like if you're really somebody that's really closely watching, you can learn more from watching someone's body language than you can from listening to what's coming out of their mouth sometimes.
Without a doubt. Yep. Without a doubt.
So that's one of the advantages to doing all of these, all the video aspect of everything. So. Well, thank you so much, Todd, for your time. I know that you guys are very busy over there, so I will let you get back to your team and all that tech craziness that I don't know anything about, but I'm very thankful for.
You're welcome.
And yeah, if anybody has any questions or, like we've said, needs to get in touch with Brandwise, you can email them, call them. We'll put that information below. And yeah, we look forward to all of the new things that'll be rolling out here to come.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Okay, you too. Bye, everybody.
All right, guys. We hope that you enjoyed that conversation. I certainly did. I can't tell you how much. We truly use Brandwise every day, all day. And you have too in many ways and just haven't known about it. So now, like I said, we're opening the curtain for you and letting you know, and now you have more power than ever at your fingertips when you're doing all of your product ordering. And as always, if you have questions, frustration, it is tech. There are always, tech can be a blessing and a curse, right? Sometimes there are just frustrations that we have as things are constantly changing or updating or things like that. So we're always here to help you work through any of that. And we look forward to talking to you next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about keeping it simple and doing your very first ever Facebook Live, because I know you can all do it, and I'm here to help you. I will talk to you next week. Have a great day.